The night was quiet, almost too quiet. In the small town of Redwood Hills, the moon hung low and bright, painting the empty streets with a soft silver glow. Most people were asleep, but Ethan Blake was not like most people. He loved late-night walks. They helped him think, helped him breathe, helped him forget the problems that chased him during the day. He walked along the forest path beside the river, listening to the sound of water rushing over rocks. It was peaceful, until the world changed in one single moment. A sharp boom cracked across the sky. Ethan froze. The air trembled. Birds shot out of the trees in panic. A burning streak of light tore through the clouds like a falling star, only this one was bigger, brighter, and moving too fast. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't anything human. The object crashed, somewhere deeper in the forest, shaking the ground under Ethan's feet. A glowing smoke trail spread through the sky, slowly fading but still bright enough to turn night into a strange blue daylight. Ethan's heart pounded. Every instinct told him to run away, but curiosity pulled him forward. He moved quickly toward the crash site, branches breaking under his boots. The wind grew stronger, pushing him back as if the forest itself was warning him. Then he heard it, a sound that didn't belong to Earth, a small cry. High-pitched, soft, fearful, almost like a child. Ethan's breath caught. "Is someone there?" He called out, but the only answer was the roar of the river below. He moved toward the edge of the forest, where the land dropped down into a narrow canyon. The river here was vicious, fast, swirling, violent. Locals called it the Raging Spine. No one ever swam in it. No one ever survived it. Ethan crouched near the cliff and looked down. His eyes widened. A small escape pod, silver, glowing, cracked open, was stuck against rocks in the middle of the rushing water. And inside it, someone was moving. Ethan squinted through the mist and chaos. It wasn't a human child. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly like moonlight trapped underwater. She had silver hair that floated around her face, and her eyes, large, bright, almost shimmering, were filled with pure fear. She was trapped inside the broken pod, holding onto a jagged metal edge as the violent water threatened to pull her out. The cry came again. Weaker this time, Ethan felt a chill run through him. There was no time to think. No time to question what she was. She was alive, she was terrified, and she needed help. He shouted, "Hold on! Don't let go!" Of course, she didn't understand his words, but she understood his voice, urgent, desperate, human. A giant wave slammed into the pod. The alien girl slipped, one hand losing its grip. Her glowing eyes widened in panic. Ethan didn't hesitate. He dropped his backpack. He took one deep breath, and he jumped. Cold water hit him like a wall. The river dragged him under instantly, spinning him violently. He kicked hard, fighting to reach the surface, gasping when he finally broke through. The pod was drifting farther away, carried by the wild current. The alien girl saw him and reached out a trembling hand. Ethan swam with every last ounce of strength he had. The water slammed him against rocks, cutting his arms and legs. His lungs burned. The current pushed him down again and again, but he refused to stop. He was not going to let her die. Another wave struck the pod, and the girl slipped further out. Her fingers barely held the edge now. Ethan used the current to push himself forward and grabbed the pod. It spun violently, almost throwing him off, but he held tight. The girl looked at him with wide eyes, confused, afraid, but also hopeful. "Come here," he shouted, though she couldn't understand. He reached out and caught her wrist. Her skin was warm and soft, glowing brighter where he touched it. She made a small sound, half fear, half relief. The river roared as if angry that Ethan had dared to fight it. He pulled her toward him, but the current fought back, trying to tear them apart. The pod slammed into a rock, breaking open completely. Water flooded in. Ethan wrapped his arm tightly around the alien girl and kicked hard toward the riverbank. He felt his strength slipping. His muscles trembled. His chest screamed for air. The water spun them faster, dragging them toward a deadly drop further. Downstream. The girl's glowing eyes dimmed as she clung to him. Ethan whispered through clenched teeth, "I'm not letting you go." But the river had other plans. A massive wave crashed over them, pulling them under. The world went dark and silent. As Ethan lost consciousness, the last thing he felt was the alien girl's tiny hand tightening around his. Cold. That was the first thing Ethan felt. His body was shaking, heavy like stone, lying on wet soil. Water dripped from his hair and clothes. For a moment, he could not remember where he was, or why his lungs burned like fire. Then everything came back in a rush. The river. The alien girl. The fall into darkness. Ethan gasped and sat up suddenly, coughing out a mouthful of river water. His vision blurred, and the world swayed. He pressed a hand to the ground to steady himself. He was on the riverbank. Still alive. Barely. But where was the girl? Ethan turned his head and froze. She was lying beside him, curled up like a small animal, her silver hair spread around her like glowing threads. Water still dripped from her blue skin, which shimmered faintly, as if tiny stars lived beneath it. Her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive. Relief washed over him. And then confusion. He whispered, "How did we get here?" He remembered drowning. He remembered losing all strength. He remembered the darkness taking him. There was no way he swam out on his own. Something, or someone, had pulled them from the river. Before he had time to think more, the girl stirred. Her eyes opened large, luminous, full of innocence. She stared at Ethan as if trying to understand what he was. Ethan raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe now." She blinked at him. Then she reached out with a trembling hand and touched his wrist. Her skin was warm, surprisingly warm, and when she touched him, her glow brightened softly, almost like a heartbeat. A soft sound escaped her lips. Not quite a word. Not quite a cry. Something in between. Ethan smiled weakly. "You're welcome, I guess." Before he could say more, a sudden noise made the girl jolt with fear. It came from the trees behind them, a low, humming vibration, like an engine trying to hide its own sound. Ethan's heart jumped. He turned toward the forest. Something moved between the shadows. Branches bent. Leaves fluttered. Light flickered. Then a tall figure stepped out. Ethan scrambled backward, instinctively. The girl grabbed his sleeve tightly, hiding partly behind him. The creature walking toward them was unlike anything he'd seen. Almost 7 feet tall, thin but with strong, graceful limbs. Its skin glowed the same soft blue as the girl's. Its eyes were sharp, bright, and filled with a strange mixture of fear and hope. It spoke in a language Ethan could not understand. Soft, musical, but urgent. The alien girl responded quickly, pointing at Ethan, speaking faster. The tall figure froze. Its glowing eyes widened. Then, shockingly, it dropped to one knee. Ethan blinked. What are you doing?" More humming sounds came from the forest. 2 more tall figures stepped out, both similar in appearance, but with different patterns glowing across their skin. One looked older, with lines of silver light along its forehead. The other looked younger, thinner, with nervous movements. The moment their eyes saw the alien girl alive, they rushed forward, kneeling beside her. They touched her face gently, checking her arms, making worried sounds. Parents. They were her parents. The girl reached for Ethan again, her small hand searching blindly for his. When she found it, she grabbed it firmly. Her parents saw this, and everything changed. Their heads lowered to the ground, their glowing hands pressed to the soil. As if in prayer. Ethan's breath caught. "Hey, wait. No, please don't do that." But they didn't stop. They spoke in synchronized voices, repeating a single word again and again, a word that sounded like Zakavro, Zatsavro. Savior. The forest felt suddenly colder. Ethan's heart raced as confusion turned to fear. I just saved her, he whispered to himself. I'm not someone special. I'm not. One of the parents looked up, eyes wide with awe. It touched Ethan's shoe with shaking fingers, as if afraid he might disappear. The other parent placed a glowing stone at Ethan's feet, an object that pulsed with light like a living heart. Ethan stepped back. Please, don't. I'm not a god. I'm just Ethan. The aliens didn't understand his words, but they understood his voice. They looked at him with deep respect, fear mixed with worship. Then the older alien pointed toward the forest, toward something hidden deeper inside. It gestured urgently, insisting Ethan follow. The girl tugged his hand gently, eyes pleading. Ethan looked at the raging river behind him, then at the aliens, then at the girl who had almost died in his arms. He swallowed hard. Okay, he whispered. I'll go. But I'm not a savior. I'm just trying to help. The parents bowed their heads again. The girl held his hand tighter, and together, they stepped deeper into the unknown forest. Toward something Ethan was not ready for, something waiting for him, something watching him, something ancient. Ethan followed the aliens deeper into the forest, his wet clothes sticking to his skin and his heart beating too fast. The trees grew taller here, their branches twisted like old arms reaching for the sky. Strange glowing insects floated around them, lighting the path with soft blue light. The alien parents walked ahead with long, graceful steps. The girl stayed close to Ethan, still holding his hand tightly, as if afraid he might disappear if she let go. Every few steps she looked up at him, studying his face. Ethan tried to smile to reassure her, even though inside he felt like he was losing control of the situation. They stopped when they reached a huge wall of vines and moss. At first Ethan thought it was just part of the forest. But then the older alien placed its glowing hand on the vines. The ground trembled softly, the vines moved. They slid apart like living curtains. Behind them was not a cave, not trees, not stone, but metal, smooth, silver metal, shaped like the side of a massive ship. Ethan's breath caught. No way! This has been here all along? The aliens didn't answer. He didn't expect them to. Instead, the wall opened like a silent door, revealing a dark interior. The parents stepped inside. The girl tugged Ethan's hand again, guiding him gently. He hesitated only 1 second before following her. The moment he entered, the door closed behind them, shutting out all sound from the forest. Ethan felt the air change, warmer, cleaner, almost too clean. Lights along the walls flickered on, responding to their presence. The floor glowed under each step. Strange symbols shifted across the metal, like living text that rearranged itself as the aliens walked. Ethan whispered, "This isn't a spaceship. This is a moving world." The girl made a soft sound, as if agreeing. The parents led him through a long hallway into a large chamber. The room opened like a dome, with a high ceiling full of floating lights that drifted like small stars. The walls showed images, moving projections of galaxies, planets, strange creatures, and symbols he didn't understand. Ethan stared in awe. Every part of the ship felt alive. The older alien stepped forward and touched a circular panel. A hologram burst into the air, bright, swirling blue, showing an ancient image. Ethan leaned closer, eyes widening. The hologram showed a tall figure of light standing in front of a river. A child was drowning behind him. The glowing figure jumped into the river and pulled the child to safety. The aliens looked at Ethan, then at the image, then at Ethan again. He understood what they thought. "No," Ethan whispered. "That's not me. That's just a story. A legend. I'm not." But the aliens didn't understand the words. They only saw a man who had done something their kind believed to be impossible. They believed he matched their prophecy. The younger alien activated another hologram. This time, it showed their species blue-skinned, glowing, standing far away from water, never touching it, even fearing it. In their world, water was deadly. Their bodies were not built to swim. The hologram zoomed in on their children standing near a small lake. Fear in their eyes. The message was clear. No alien from their species could ever save someone from a river, only an outsider. A being different from them could perform such an act. The girl stepped in front of the hologram and pointed at Ethan again. Her glowing eyes softened with gratitude. The two parents bowed deeply. Ethan stepped back. "Please stop doing that. I'm not worthy. I wasn't trying to be some savior." But their reverent eyes said everything. They believed he was the one foretold by their ancestors. Before Ethan could argue more, the older alien touched his arm gently and motioned toward another door. The door slid open. Ethan followed nervously. Inside was a smaller room and filled with strange machines. Some floated in the air. Others hummed with energy. The whole room felt like a heart beating inside the ship. One of the machines projected a mappa star chart with a blinking red point. Ethan asked softly, "What is that?" The younger alien tapped the projection. The red point expanded into an image of a planet glowing with blue oceans and silver lands. It was beautiful. Then the image changed. Explosions shook the surface. Dark ships surrounded it. Fire and smoke covered cities. The girl whimpered and hid behind Ethan's arm. He swallowed hard. "Your home is under attack." The parents nodded, their glowing patterns dimming in sadness. Then the older alien pointed at Ethan again, then at the burning planet, then placed its hand on its heart. Ethan understood. They believed he was not only their daughter's savior, but their world's savior. His stomach twisted. "I can't fight a war. I don't even know how your ship works." The aliens didn't understand his fear. They only saw hope, something their world desperately needed. Then the ship trembled slightly, as if responding to their emotions. A low hum filled the chamber. The girl stepped in front of Ethan, took his hand again, and looked into his eyes with complete trust. He felt the weight of that trust like a stone on his chest. He wasn't meant for greatness. He wasn't a hero. But at that moment, he knew he couldn't walk away. Not from her. Not from them. Not from a world falling into darkness. Ethan took a deep breath. "Show me," he whispered. "Show me everything." The alien's eyes glowed brighter in relief. The ship's walls lit up. And the journey truly began. Ethan stood in the center of the glowing chamber, feeling like the whole ship was watching him. The air around him hummed softly, as if the metal itself breathed. The alien girl stayed near his side, her small fingers gripping the edge of his sleeve. Her parents stood a short distance away, their glowing patterns shifting with emotion. The older alien moved forward first. It raised one long hand and placed it against a floating crystal disc. The disc rotated, shining blue light into the chamber. Slowly, shapes began forming in the air, shapes made of pure energy. A new hologram appeared. It showed writings, symbols, drawings, all moving like living lines. Ethan squinted. "What am I looking at?" The younger alien tapped the hologram, and slowly, the symbols changed into images. First, a planet beautiful, silver oceans and bright forests. Their home. It floated in the hologram like a dream. Then the image changed. A river appeared. Not just any river. A dark, violent river with the same swirling pattern as the one Ethan had jumped into. The water twisted in the hologram exactly like the raging spine on Earth. Ethan gasped softly. "That looks like the same river." The older alien nodded slowly. The hologram zoomed in again, revealing a child drowning in the water. The image was ancient, almost like a painting, but clear enough to understand. Then a tall, glowing figure appeared in the hologram. He stood at the river's edge, his form lit like a star. He jumped into the deadly river, cutting through the waves with fearless strength. He pulled the child to safety with both hands, lifting them from the dark water. It was exactly what Ethan did. The younger alien bowed its head. The older one touched its chest with both hands, a sign of deep respect. They repeated the same word they had said before. Sephaza. Azadeo. Savior, Ethan shook his head. No, that can't be me. That river isn't even on your world. The girl tugged gently at his sleeve. She stepped forward and pointed at the hologram river. Then pointed at Ethan. Then at her chest. Her eyes were soft, full of emotion. Ethan whispered, "You think I'm the one in your prophecy?" The parents nodded together. The hologram shifted again. Now it showed their ancient writing symbols shining in gold. The younger alien tapped one of the symbols, and it expanded into a translation. Ethan could not read their language. But the ship did the work. Soft light formed simple English words in front of him. The one who walks through death water will save the child of stars. He will rise from the dark river, unharmed. He will bring hope in the time of the great danger. Ethan froze. Those words hit him like a stone. The older alien pointed at Ethan's chest, then at the hologram, then at the girl. The message was clear. To them, he was the ancient promise. Ethan rubbed his forehead, overwhelmed. I didn't walk through death water. I almost died in it. I'm not a hero. I'm just human. The ship hummed again, louder this time. The lights on the walls brightened, responding to the tension in the room. The girl stepped forward and placed her tiny glowing hand on Ethan's. Her warmth spread through him, calming his shaking breath. She spoke one soft word. Ethan didn't understand it, but he felt the meaning. Thank you. Then the room darkened suddenly. Ethan flinched. A new hologram activated, one the parents hadn't touched. It opened on its own, as if the ship had decided it was time to show the truth. The hologram showed the alien home planet again. Peaceful at first. Then lightning flashed. Fires erupted. Dark ships, sharp and cruel-looking, appeared in the sky like a plague. Ethan felt a cold shiver. The girl trembled and hid behind her father. The older alien pointed at the dark ships, tapping a symbol beside them. The ship translated the symbol into simple English, the Devourers. Ethan whispered the name. Devourers. The hologram zoomed in on the enemy ships. Their metallic skin was covered in scars, spikes, and glowing red veins. They destroyed everything: cities, forests, oceans. Ethan watched helpless families running, children crying, tall shimmering towers falling into dust. His stomach twisted. Then the hologram showed the aliens, back on Earth, the girl's pod escaping during an attack. He saw the parents desperately pushing their child into the escape pod. He saw explosions behind them. He saw the pod hurtling into space. Their home was dying. And the hologram ended with the prophecy again. In the darkest hour, hope will fall from the sky. The older alien pointed at Ethan again, harder this time. Ethan stepped back. No, you're wrong. I'm not hope. I'm just Ethan. I can't fight an alien army. I don't know your weapons. I don't know your world. I don't even know how to speak your language. The parents didn't understand every word, but they understood his fear. The girl stepped in front of Ethan, tears glowing in her eyes. She lifted his hand and placed it gently against her heart. Her small voice trembled. A single word came out: hope. Ethan swallowed hard. She wasn't worshiping him. She was asking him to help. Asking him to save her home. Asking him to not walk away. And Ethan knew one thing. He couldn't break that kind of trust. He took a deep breath. Okay, he whispered. I'll try. I don't know how, but I'll try. The parents' glowing patterns brightened, the ship lit up like a rising star, and the prophecy began to unfold. Asterisk, the ship felt different now. The air was heavier. The lights dimmed, glowing red along the walls like warning signals. Ethan stood in the center of the command chamber, his heart beating faster with every passing second. The alien parents gathered around him, their glowing patterns trembling with fear. The little girl stayed close to Ethan, holding his arm tightly, as if he was the only safe thing in this entire metal world. The older alien placed both palms on a large crystal console. The room responded instantly. The walls opened into huge screens, showing the star map again, but this time the blinking red points spread across the hologram like a disease. Their home planet under attack. Ethan swallowed. Is this happening right now? The younger alien nodded. Then it touched a new symbol on the console. A hologram zoomed in, showing live images, cities burning, tall crystal towers collapsing, blue-skinned people running for shelter, their glowing patterns flickering in panic. The sky above the planet was filled with huge enemy ships, black, sharp, monstrous. They shot beams of red fire across the ground, destroying anything they touched. Smaller alien ships tried to fight back, but the enemy was too strong. Too many. Ethan felt a painful twist in his chest. He didn't know these people, but he recognized fear, loss, hopelessness. It looked exactly like the news footage he used to see from war zones on Earth, only 1,000 times worse. The little girl whimpered softly. She pressed her face against Ethan's sleeve. Her trembling fingers dug into his shirt, desperate for comfort. Ethan knelt beside her. Hey, it's okay. I'm right here. She looked up at him with wet, glowing eyes. She didn't believe it was okay. Her world was dying. One hologram zoomed in further, showing the planet's surface in disturbing detail. A giant devourer machine, taller than a skyscraper, walked across a city, crushing everything under its heavy metal legs. Its red core pulsed like a heart, like it enjoyed destruction. The younger alien pointed at the machine and then shook its head, trembling with fear. Its glowing patterns dimmed to a faint blue-gray, the color of despair. The parents believed Ethan could save them. Ethan believed he couldn't even save himself. He whispered, "How do you expect me to fight that? One wrong move and I'll be crushed like an ant." The older alien touched Ethan's chest gently, right above his heart. Then it pointed at the hologram of the prophecy that still glowed near the wall. The message was clear. You are meant to do this. Not because you are strong, but because you are human. Ethan stepped away and ran his hands through his wet hair. You don't understand. Humans aren't gods. We're not magical. We're just normal. The little girl stepped in front of him. She pressed both her small hands on his cheeks and made a soft sound, one Ethan had heard only once before, a plea, a desperate plea. She didn't care if he was a savior. She didn't care about prophecy. She just knew he saved her once. And she believed he could save her world. Ethan felt his throat tighten. He couldn't walk away from that kind of belief. Not when it stared at him with eyes full of trust. The ship suddenly vibrated with a deep hum, faster and stronger. The lights brightened. Strange symbols appeared on the walls. The aliens looked up in surprise. The ship was preparing something. Ethan asked, "What's happening now?" The younger alien tapped several symbols quickly, trying to respond. A hologram appeared above the console. It showed Ethan standing inside a glowing suit of alien armor. A suit that matched human shape perfectly. The girl gasped in excitement. The parents nodded at Ethan. They had built something. Something meant only for him. The older alien pressed another panel. A door opened, revealing a wide chamber with a platform in the center. Suspended above the platform was the armor, sleek silver, with glowing blue veins running across it. Ethan stepped closer. The armor floated, slowly rotating. It looked advanced, but also dangerous. He could feel its energy even from a distance. He whispered, "You think this will help me fight? I don't even know how to use it." The ship answered for them. The armor pulsed with light, then projected symbols that shifted into English words. Adaptive, learning, human compatible. Responds to emotion. Strength increases with purpose. Ethan's eyes widened. The armor wasn't just a weapon. It was alive. It grew stronger when he had a reason to fight. And right now, he had one. He looked at the alien girl. She stared at him with hope brighter than anything the armor could produce. Her trembling stopped as she reached out to touch his hand again. Ethan took a deep breath. "Okay," he finally said. "I don't know if I can save your planet, but I'll try. I'll do everything I can." The ship's lights flared. The parents bowed deeply. The girl hugged his arm tightly. And the armor slowly opened, ready to bind itself to the human who should never have been part of a prophecy. Yet somehow the fight for their world was about to begin. The armor floated before Ethan like a sleeping giant. Its silver plates reflected soft blue light, and thin glowing lines ran across its surface like veins of living energy. The chamber around it hummed with quiet power, as if the entire ship held its breath, waiting for him to step forward. Ethan slowly reached out. His fingertips brushed the metal. Instantly, the armor reacted. The glowing veins flashed bright blue. The plates shifted, unfolding like petals of a strange flower. A soft wind swirled around Ethan, pulling at his clothes and hair. The alien girl held her parents' hands and watched with wide glowing eyes. The parents' patterns brightened in anticipation. Ethan took a shaky breath. "All right, let's see what you can do." He stepped forward. The armor moved on its own. It wrapped around his legs, his arms, his chest, each piece shaping perfectly to his body. It didn't feel like metal. It felt warm, almost like it knew him. The final piece, the helmet, hovered above his head for a moment, as if asking for permission. Ethan nodded. The helmet slid down, covering his face. For a moment, everything went dark. Then, a soft blue screen lit up inside the visor. Strange symbols changed into simple English. Heart detected. Purpose detected. Human compatible. Training program starting. Ethan couldn't help whispering, "This is unreal." The armor tightened gently, fitting his body like a second skin. He could breathe easily, move easily. It felt lighter than a jacket. The younger alien pressed a symbol, and the chamber suddenly changed. The floor shifted. Walls moved outward, creating a larger space. Blue grids appeared everywhere, forming strange shapes and obstacles. A training arena. Ethan groaned. "You want me to train? I just put this thing on." But the ship didn't care. A robotic voice filled the chamber. "Begin." A bright sphere of light appeared in front of him and shot toward Ethan like a speeding bullet. Ethan yelped and ducked. The sphere slammed into the wall behind him, exploding into tiny glowing particles. Hey! A little warning next time. Another sphere appeared. It shot forward, this time. Ethan raised his arm instinctively. The armor reacted instantly. A glowing shield formed over his arm, blocking the attack. The sphere shattered harmlessly against it. Ethan stared at the shield, amazed. "So, you protect me when I panic. Good to know." More spheres formed, 3, then 5, then 10. They zipped around the room, moving unpredictably. Ethan ran. The armor boosted his speed. His feet almost flew across the floor. He jumped over a low barrier, and the armor amplified it, sending him higher than any human could jump. He laughed despite the danger. "This is crazy. I feel like a superhero." The alien girl clapped happily, her glowing patterns dancing with excitement. The parents watched proudly, their worry easing slightly. But the training wasn't done. The ground changed again. Tall pillars rose from the floor. Red lights appeared between them. The robotic voice spoke again. Enemy simulation activated. Silhouettes formed shadows with red glowing eyes. They didn't look exactly like the Devourers, but close enough to be terrifying. Ethan gulped. Oh, great. Shadow monsters. Wonderful. The first silhouette lunged at him. Ethan reacted without thinking. He swung his arm, and the armor formed a blade of pure blue energy. The blade sliced through the silhouette, breaking it into dust. Another came from behind. The armor alerted him with a sharp beep. Ethan spun, raising his shield, blocking the attack. The impact sent a shock up his arm, but the armor absorbed most of it. He fought again, using full body movements, dodging, rolling, striking. The armor responded to every motion, making him faster, stronger, sharper. But after minutes of fast movements, Ethan's breath grew heavy. Sweat trickled down his neck. His arms trembled. His legs burned. He wasn't trained for this. He was only human. The shadows kept coming. Ethan stumbled, nearly falling. A strike hit his chest. The armor absorbed it, but the force knocked him backward. He hit the floor hard. The little girl gasped. She ran toward the glass wall and pressed her hands against it, shaking her head. Ethan groaned. Okay. Not my best moment. The robotic voice echoed again. Human endurance low. Emotional energy dropping. Ethan clenched his teeth. Yeah, no kidding. He tried standing, but his legs felt weak. Then he saw something. The girl placed both her hands against the glass wall. Her glowing patterns brightened, spreading light across the barrier. She looked at Ethan and smiled. That small smile did something to him. Something the armor noticed. The blue veins across the armor brightened. The suit warmed, filling his body with new energy. The robotic voice altered. Purpose detected. Strength increase activated. Ethan stood. The shadows came again, faster this time, but he was faster too. He dodged the first attack, slammed his shield into the second, sliced the third. Blue energy pulsed through his movements like lightning. Each strike grew stronger, each block firmer. The parents watched in awe. The girl cheered softly. And Ethan didn't feel like a normal man anymore. He felt like someone who could make a difference. After a final blow, the last shadow faded away. The room fell silent. The training simulation ended with a soft chime. Ethan stood in the center of the chamber, breathing hard. Armor glowing like a star around him, he whispered, maybe, just maybe, I can do this. The parents bowed in respect. The girl ran to him and hugged his armored leg. He knelt and hugged her back. The ship's lights flickered. A message appeared inside his visor. Training complete. Prepare for hyperspace jump. Ethan stood slowly. The war was waiting. The ship rumbled as it prepared for the jump. The walls glowed brighter, humming with energy. Ethan stood in the command chamber, fully suited in the alien armor. The silver plates shined like a second skin, and the blue veins pulsed with calm. Steady light matching his heartbeat. The alien girl stood in front of him, her small hands resting on his armored wrist. She didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. Come back. Ethan knelt down. I'll do my best, he whispered. I'm not a savior, but I'll fight for you. Her parents stepped forward. They placed their glowing hands on Ethan's shoulders. Their patterns brightened, a silent blessing from two beings who once feared him, but now trusted him more than anything. The ship's voice echoed. Hyperspace jump in 3, 2, 1. The world twisted. Light exploded. Everything stretched like liquid glass. And then silence. Ethan opened his eyes. His breath caught. Before him hung the alien homeworld, or what was left of it. The once beautiful planet was now scarred with burning cities and cracked lands. Wreckage floated in orbit. Fires glowed like dying stars. and surrounding the planet were the Devourer's ship's twisted black metal, pulsing red veins running across their hulls. Ethan whispered, "This is a nightmare." The parents lowered their heads in sorrow. But the girl... She squeezed Ethan's hand with a spark of hope. The ship's AI projected a hologram. Enemy fleet, 73 ships. Planet defense, collapsing. Human warrior, ready. Ethan exhaled shakily. No pressure, right? The hangar doors slowly opened. A blast of wind rushed in. Ethan stepped forward, and the armor adjusted, forming a protective energy field around him. The older alien pressed a panel, and the ship projected a shimmering path leading toward the enemy fleet. A final goodbye gift. The girl stepped forward one last time. She placed her glowing forehead lightly against his armor. Ethan closed his eyes. "I'll come back," he said. "I promise." Then he jumped. Blue flames burst from his boots as the armor launched him into space. He flew like a blade of light. The Devourer fleet reacted instantly. Red beams shot toward him. Explosions lit the darkness. Ethan raised his arm, forming a shield. The blast hit it, sending shockwaves through his body, but he stayed steady. He dashed forward, slicing through the first enemy ship's weapon pod. The energy blade extended from his arm again, cutting through metal like paper. A massive explosion shook the ship. Ethan spun through the debris, breathing hard. The armor spoke inside his visor. Human strategy required. Strength increasing. Ethan smiled despite the chaos. "All right, let's do this the human way." He scanned the battlefield. The Devourer ships moved in perfect patterns, predictable. Rigid, machine-like. Humans weren't like that. Humans improvised. Ethan dove toward the planet's clouds, disappearing from the enemy's sensors. The Devourers paused, confused. Ethan shot out from the opposite side, hitting them from a blind spot. He used the planet's gravity to slingshot himself, moving at speeds the enemy couldn't track. He fired blasts of blue energy at their engines, targeting weak points. Every strike tore apart another ship. The armor reacted to his emotions: fear, determination, anger, hope, making him faster, stronger each second. Then the biggest Devourer ship turned its red cannons toward the planet. Ethan froze. If it fired, the entire city below would vanish. He launched himself with everything he had. The armor screamed with energy, blue veins blazing like lightning. He reached the giant ship. It fired. Time slowed. Ethan raised both arms, forming the shield of pure blue light. The blast struck him with a force that could split mountains. He felt his bones shake, his muscles burn, his vision blur. The armor strained. Cracks of white light spread across the shield. Ethan shouted through clenched teeth, "Not this planet!" The little girl's face flashed in his mind, her hope, her trust. The cracks stopped spreading. The shield pushed back. Ethan roared with everything inside him. The beam reversed direction, slamming back into the Devourer ship. An explosion tore through its core, and the massive ship cracked in half, burning in silence as it fell toward the atmosphere. Ethan floated there, gasping, armor dimming. Below him, the surviving alien cities lit up with blue light, signals of hope spreading like a wave. The Devourers began retreating, their ships pulling away from orbit. The battle was won. Ethan drifted slowly back toward the main ship, exhausted beyond words. As he landed in the hangar, the little girl ran to him and threw her arms around him, glowing with joy. Her parents bowed deeply, tears in their eyes. Ethan removed his helmet. His voice was soft. "I'm no savior. I'm just human." The father shook his head gently. He placed a glowing hand on Ethan's chest. The ship translated his words. "Being human is what saved us." The girl hugged Ethan again, her glow warm like sunlight. In that moment, Ethan realized something. He didn't just save a child. He didn't just save a planet. He gave an entire world a second chance. And somewhere in the stars, the prophecy shone true, not because he was a god, but because he was human.